I get donations to my channel from time to time of equipment that people just don't want and they want to send it to a good home. I got my scope as a donation. I've had other things donated to my channel, and today is another piece of equipment that was donated. This is a professional video unit that was shipped in from the UK. So it came a long way, it was packed well, and they still managed to beat the crap out of it. Let's take a look at what I got. So I got a package arrived today in the mail. This is how it arrived. It's kind of beat up. I wonder if what's inside is any good. Well, I already know it's sustained some damage because there's a handle that's broken off of it. These are the pictures I took when they left it on my porch. So this came in from a viewer. He donated it to my channel. I won't say his name on here, but it was shipped in from the UK, and it cost him 107 Great Britain pounds to ship this device to me. And we're going to see if we can get it to go. And I'll show you what it is. It says on here that it's got a fault error 03, real trouble. That's what it says. And it's a video machine. It's a video player. It's not a recorder. It's just a straight playback machine. We're going to just, this one here is just going to be a quick evaluation. I'm not going to do anything on it tonight. Maybe I'll plug it in and see if it turns on and see if it's been damaged beyond repair. I see that there's a couple of dings to the cabinet. It's a bit warped over here on the side. But let's get a look at the sucker. Oh, look, it doesn't even... What's with that? Is it bent? I think they bent it. I think the chassis is bent, so this thing might be a total loss because I don't think it's supposed to, unless there's a foot broken on it. Let's take a look at the back of it. Well, we'll look at the front of it and the back of it. I'll power it up and see if this thing turns on. I haven't showed you what it is yet. Obviously it's big and it's got a jog shuttle dial on it. Right, so we'll take a look at what's on the back of it first, and then we'll take a look at the front of it. And then I'm going to power it up and just see whether it even turns on. And maybe I'll try loading a tape, see what it does, if it turns on, and then we'll talk about what this does. And say I'm not going to do anything other than this is just an inspection video. We're going to have videos on this thing. If we can get it running, that will be great. We'll talk about what it does. And even though it's from the UK, which is a PAL country, this machine will operate in NTSC and PAL, so it'll operate both. It's a playback only machine, but that's fine. That's fine. That's all it needs to be. It's a playback only. I have recorders that can record the tapes that will play in this machine. Look at the back of it. Yeah, okay, it's a bit bent. There's no back feet. There are feet on the front. There are no back feet, but still it's wobbly. So I don't know what's happened to it. Well, I know what's happened to it. You can see it here. Even this is bent. This thing is a very heavy machine, and I'm sure that the guys at UPS or FedEx or whoever the hell handled this are breaking our back on this thing. Let's just drop it. So I might plug this thing in and have flame shooting out of it. I don't know. It'll run on 100 to 240 volts. I know that much. Let's take a look at the back side of this thing. We'll take a look at the connectors. This thing is a bloody... Wait, this thing's a pig. But see, even look at this. See? It doesn't balance. Anyway, let's look at the connectors on the back. So it's made by Sony. Serial number is 10429 on this one. So they made at least 10,000 of these machines. Made a lot more than that. It's got audio out, 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's got monitor out left and right. It's got the time code output. It's got reference video in so that you can tie it down to your station's reference. And it has SDI outputs, 2 of them. It's got 2 composite outputs. And it's got a 3rd composite output that's got the superimposer on it so that you can look at your on-screen graphics for setup and so forth. And it's got component outputs Y, Y minus, R minus Y, and B minus Y. And video control RS-232 and remote control. And power. And it also has the circuit breaker down here, so if it pops you can reset it. So you don't have to start ripping it apart to replace fuses. And that's the back. As I say, there's no video inputs on it because this is the playback machine only. It's got two beefy fans on the back because something like this is going to draw a fair bit of power, and it's going to produce some heat. And speaking of power, it operates between 100 and 240 volts, and it operates at 200 VA in terms of power. So it's kind of power hungry. But then again, it's professional video. Professional stuff generally is relatively power hungry. Let's turn around and take a look at the front. So in case you guys did not guess what it is, this is the Betacam SX player. There's the handle that broke off the front. This flips open, I'm sure, unless it's broken. This should pull out or flip open. One of the two. Well, it's supposed to flip open, but it kind of might be foobar now because it's been bashed around. This panel should tilt open, but it's not. On the front here we got headphones, we got our display, full or fine, our playback level control for the 4 channels. At least they're not broken. We managed to break this off, that could be probably glued back on. Remote or local for the 5-pin. Time code drop frame or non-drop frame. Audio monitor select. Channel 1, you can put it on the left or the right, for the audio outputs. And it's just got your standard controls: eject, standby, pre-roll, rewind, play, fast forward, and stop. You can select your menu for setting it up, and control, counter, control, time code, or user bit to display on the display here. And this being, it's a DNW A30P, P for PAL, but again, it will play NTSC. Betacam SX, but this machine will also play analog. You see, analog digital. This will play a regular Betacam tape, and it will also play a Betacam SP tape. Now, that's good. I have a Betacam SP recorder. I can make, well, I've got analog Betacam SP tapes in NTSC. I also have a PAL Betacam SX camcorder. So I can record a PAL Betacam SX tape and play it on this machine. And that's what we're going to try to do. This will play a Betacam SX tape in both PAL and NTSC, as well as PAL or NTSC Betacam and Betacam SP, but it does not convert. So if it's an NTSC tape, you get NTSC out. If it's a PAL tape, you get PAL out, and you have to switch it, from what I understand, between the two. Anyway, I'm going to rip the top off this thing. We're going to take a peek inside and see if there's anything damaged, and then I'm going to power it up and see if we get any magic smoke. And I know it's got a fault, so I do have a tape that is kind of trashed, so because that other machine kind of chewed up some tape a bit. So, you know, we might try threading a tape and see what it does on this initial evaluation, and see exactly what happens. See whether it is going to do anything, and then we'll do future video. If the initial checkout appears to be okay, then it's going to solve the problem, and I could have myself a nice player. I'm getting too many of these things. You can never have too many professional machines. Although I don't see a huge amount of pro tapes, it's nice to have a format that can play the tapes from that camera. And if I can get this thing playing SX tapes properly, then maybe we'll take the camera out and do some shooting with that and play them back on here and see what the quality looks like. Well, we already know. I've already done a recording on the camera. But what I can do on here is that I can output the output from the tape that I made on the camera last year when I took it to, or a couple of years ago, I guess, when I took it to Duck Pond. I'll be able to play those tapes using the component outputs and digitize them using the component output as opposed to using the PAL output, the PAL composite. I'll be able to output them from the component output, and we'll be able to see how that looks if I can get this machine to work. So let's power it up and see how much smoke we get. Well, we'll take the top off first, because if it's going to smoke, I want to see where the smoke's coming from. I also want to make sure there's no boards that are shattered in here before I power it up. So let's pull the top. I call pro machines. These are designed so that the operator or engineer can get the tops off them very quickly for doing things like maintenance. I guess it might help if I use the right size screwdriver. Cleaning heads and so forth. They actually have thumb screws so you can open them up with a coin. Look at all those boards in here. This thing is just loaded with boards. And that's why I'm concerned about how it was treated, because any of these could be damaged from being dropped. So we may end up with something that is totally unrepairable and unserviceable because it did get banged around a bit while it was being shipped. We'll pull this cover off. I want to be able to observe what goes down, as they say. I don't know if this lifts the elevator out or not. I'm assuming this is just a cover, but I guess I'll find out. I've never popped one of these apart before, so I don't know what to expect when I remove screws. Oh, notice that the screws don't actually come out. Do these ones lift this cover off? These screws come out, but these ones don't. These ones are got a retainer on the bottom. So this might be the elevator that lifts right out as one piece. The heads and the drum and everything should be in here. Uh-oh. Well, maybe I wasn't supposed to take those screws out because something just dropped in here. First, guys, I did this fully intentionally, watching just have some broadcast engineer screaming, "No! Those are catches! You just release them." Yes, of course they're catches, but I just wanted to see the reaction. So we'll just put the catches back on. These are basically, you flip these little switches, little catches, and they release the cover. Now that I've got everybody that was having a heart attack to stop having their heart attack, you flip the two lever switches in like that, and this lifts up to access the heads. If you want to access the elevator, you remove the two, or don't remove, you just loosen off the two screws that don't remove, and then this cover will lift off so that you can access the elevator and see everything else that goes on in here. I believe in this mode the basket will actually lift out. I don't think there's anything else that holds this in. Maybe this one here. I think this whole thing will just lift out. If I just lift it up, yeah, it'll lift right out. That cover is what holds that in place. So we're going to power this up now and tune for maximum smoke. One moment as I dig out a cord. Okay, the moment that we're waiting for. I'm going to hit the power switch. Well, that was rather uneventful. It actually turned on. I see lights flashing on the front. I see a time display that says 0. That's a good sign. It didn't go boom. I'm going to just pop a regular beta tape in here that I can sacrifice. Just a consumer beta tape in this machine, as I want to see what it does. So this, obviously I'm not even hooking it up to a monitor. I don't know anything about what's going to happen, but I want to see if it attempts to thread the tape and so forth. Scanner turns okay. Well, that's interesting. Cool. Got a contact on the top with a ribbon cable here. This is an L830 tape. I probably should not even think of putting this in, but I'm going to, just to see what happens. That didn't sound too healthy, but it threaded the tape. Shall we see whether it eats? We'll see if the tape actually moves. It's in the stop mode now, obviously. The tape runs, and then it stops. And it says real trouble. Okay, well, it's not eating, so we know that the tape is that the take-up spool is working because there's no slack, but it detects a real problem and will not go into any mode because it's locked out. Eject. Will it even eject? It probably won't even eject, but if I power it down and power it back up, I may be able to eject the tape. And it is not eating. Okay. So far, so good. Do some research and see. There's obviously a sensor in here that detects when the tape spool is turning. We know it's turning because it didn't eat the tape. Try some of the other modes. Does fast forward work? How about fast forward? And again, it's moving, and it's not stopping. Let's try rewind, and it's rewinding the tape now. How about play? And now I get the real trouble again. So when it's going into the play mode, it's shutting down. That's our fault. I think first things first, we're going to lubricate this thing and try to get that noise to quieten down a bit. But, as I promised, this was just an initial inspection to see that it does turn on. And we're going to do another one where we start to explore what might be possibly wrong with this machine. I just kind of wanted to give you guys a taste of what I'm going to be working on this week. This is going to be my project this week. See if I can get this machine to function properly. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next part for this one. Bye.